Hello everybody, this is Lady Kaylah here, and welcome to the Geekdom. This is my episode review for Season 3, Episode 3, and I know this one's late yet again. It's so late that it's overlapping Episode 4, which already aired, so I'm sorry. Anyways, let's get started here. I'll start with Rob and Catelyn, and we are there at River Run, and they're doing Catelyn's father's funeral, which is a boat funeral that is also a pyre, so you have to light it on fire. And we're introduced to Edmure and the Blackfish. Edmure is Catelyn's brother, I believe, if I remember correctly, and the Blackfish is her uncle. And Edmure is portrayed to be a complete just disappointment, and Blackfish is portrayed to be a complete badass. They do this by showing Edmure missing, the boat with his flaming arrows a couple times, and I'm kind of like upset with this because they make him look like a dunce for missing the boat, but in the books I got more of an idea that he was very sad, and so that's why he kept missing. Here, it was kind of just like, oh, Edmure can't do anything right, so he missed the boat. And so the Blackfish takes it, and he lights the boat. So even in that small scene, you can see, they're already setting Edmure up to look like a loser, and they're setting Blackfish up to look like a complete badass. So, Edmure actually has this huge blunder, and as soon as we get the Rob scene with Edmure and the Blackfish already knew that Edmure had messed up before Rob even describes his plans that he had. So Edmure didn't follow instructions and decided that his way would be the better way. And the way they set this up is he didn't even just mess up. He was just completely ignorant, because even though he didn't know Rob's plan, he should have at least been worried about how many men they lost, which he didn't seem too concerned about, and about catching the mountain, which would have been a huge success. It doesn't matter that you chase them off. It matters if you cut off the freaking head of the snake, which they didn't get to do. So Rob's pissed, and the Blackfish already kind of knew that Edmure messed up. So they got some hostages, but they're nobody important. They're lesser Lannisters. And Talisa is bandaging up the hostages, and I like how she's not mean to them or treats them badly. She's in fact actually helping heal them. I guess someone got a broken wrist or something. And even though she's not being mean or anything, she's reinforcing these tales about Robb Stark and how fearsome he is, which is a really smart thing to do, because if they ever get ransomed or whatever back, they'll have all these frightening tales about Robb Stark, which can always help put fear into the enemy. But the most touching scene is Catelyn, and she just keeps making me cry. I used to hate Catelyn when I was 14 and I read the books a long time ago, and now I really just see that she's a fantastic character, and she loves her children. I always thought oh, she's such a bad mother for never going back to Bran and Rickon. Those boys need her more than anyone. But now that I think about it, she does think about Bran and Rickon. She's constantly thinking about Bran and Rickon, and she wants to be with Bran and Rickon, and she's sitting there remembering how, every time her father would leave, she would just wait for him, and just be so sad until he came back. And she can only imagine how her sons felt, and how many times they stayed up waiting for her, or they woke up waiting for her. And it's just so heartbreaking. And I realize she's probably with Robb because, one, Robb is her best hope to getting her daughters back, who are in the most danger. And Bran and Rickon were up in Winterfell, where she assumed no enemies would attack them, and she assumed they were the safest, and she probably stayed with Robb secondly because Rob's second most in danger. He's going into battles, he's fighting. So her daughters are number 1 in danger, and her son's number 2. So she decided that staying with Rob is probably the best place for her as a mother for that moment. She never thought that Brandon and Rickon would be in danger, and she wanted to be with them, but she probably felt the best place would be with her son, who could die in a battle, and also her son, who is the best hope at getting back her daughters. So now that I see it like that, I cried. Like, I could not help but cry when I watched Kat just have that scene. Next, Tyrion. I love his scenes. There's a little, like, chair scene, but I don't need to talk about it because I assume you watched the show. What's important is we find out that Tyrion has become the Master of Coin, and you can tell he's not too happy about it because his father is Hand of the King, and so the Master of Coin is on the Small Council, so he needs to be in King's Landing, and so he's going to be on constant surveillance under his father, and also his sister, who's kind of like vindictive and wants to get back at him. So, you know, it's not like he can go back to Casterly Rock with Shay, which I'm sure is something he really wants to do to make sure she's safe. And so he's stuck there. He's stuck in King's Landing, probably the most dangerous place you can be. And his Shay is in danger because his father already threatened him, and his sister would just love to see someone Tyrion loved get hurt. So he seems kind of screwed. I believe we find out Baelish got rewarded with Harrenhal, and he's marrying Lysa, who was wife of Jon Arryn, and widowed. So he's getting a lot of power real soon, and he's going to be leaving King's Landing, and I'm guessing he's going to start working on his plan to get Sansa out of there. I really liked how everything was set up to get Sansa out of there, but as more and more episodes pass, I'm guessing they're really just going to do the most simple thing, which is sneak Sansa out there with Baelish instead of the entire elaborate plan that Baelish already had set up in the books. So I'm not sure. I really hope they do go for the more elaborate plan. And then lastly with Tyrion, we get this pod scene, which, yes, it is pointless, and it's probably just an excuse to get some boobies in there like HBO likes to do. But I got a good laugh out of it. I really, really did. I just love it, and all the jokes that are being made after that are just so funny. I really liked it. Didn't really reveal anything about Tyrion that we didn't already know, so it's kind of pointless, but I really enjoyed it. I really did. So, next I'm going to talk about Arya, who I really like how we get this little scene where, when they're taking Sandor and they're all relocating, she actually goes up to Sandor and she's like, "Do you remember this place?" She has some balls, that girl. She blames Sandor for, her friend's death, and, he's a horrible person, and she wants, him to remember some horrible thing that he did, and he's kind of like, "I don't care." I love Sandor, though, so, anyway, so they're leaving. Hot Pie stays behind. It's kind of sad because, he's part of their little group. So there was a little touching moment. Gendry's still going. As long as I have my Gendry, I'm completely fine. So, I can't wait to see more adventures with Arya in the future, but I have a feeling they're just doing a little update for now, and we'll see what happens later. Jon Snow, we get them finding out where the crows were dead or whatever. Crows as in the Night's Watch brothers. And when the warg saw the massacre, he saw that there were actually men there, and now there's no men there, even though they were dead. So that means they become walkers, the White Walkers or whatever. So that sucks. And now you have more White Walkers after them, and but it's also a good thing for Mance, because Mance gets to start planning his attack. Like, Mormont's best men dead. You know, they're either dead, or whoever survives has a long way back to the wall, and it's probably chaos and confusion there. So we're going to send some people to attack and confuse from behind, and Jon Snow is going to be part of that group, and we're going to attack from the front, the rest of us. And so, oh my god, things are getting real. So we're going to see what happens. Jon Snow's definitely getting put into this dangerous position of loyalty, and it's pretty awesome. So next we see a little Sam scene where they're at Craster's being a douchebag like always, and Gilly has a baby boy, which is sad, because Sam really likes Gilly, and they sacrificed the baby boys, so that's after that, we got Theon, who is saved, and I'm so excited because I already know what's going on, and he gets saved. I'm sorry. I already know what's going on. That's why I'm really, really excited. There was a little clue when you said, "You little bastard," and then that guy gets shot, and then it seems like Theon's fine for right now. So I can't wait to see the future. I can't wait to see what like the non-readers are going to react. It's exciting. Sorry. Anyways, next we get a Stannis scene, and this scene really shows you how reliant Stannis is on Mel, and it's a little odd and over the top because Stannis, he was reliant on Mel. He was also reliant on Davos, and that's why it surprised me when he just sent Davos to the dungeons like that, like, so messed up. And the thing about this scene is, like, it looks like, is Mel, like, losing faith in Stannis? Like, she seems to be, like, completely uninterested, and, I don't know what's going on. But she does mention that they're gonna need King's blood because Stannis himself is drained, and in the books, he was drained as well. Like, he looked more sickly because of the dark magic she was using. And, but he still had his own resolve, and he still had his own, like, self-worth, unlike this scene where he seems to be completely and wholly reliant on Mel. But, whatever. Next, I'm going to talk about Jaime and Brienne, because their scenes are awesome, and I really enjoyed how, like, even though they still, like, go back and forth and they banter, and Jaime's still an ass, he's still concerned about Brienne's honor, and even though she was his captor and whatnot, like, it's still, like, a part of Jaime is, like, nobody should ever have to go through a horrifying rape, and he cares for Brienne, and he doesn't want her to go for that, and I don't know if he cares about herself. It's not really clear at this moment, but he cares for her on a level of, at least she's a human being. So this is the same guy who threw a little kid out of a window who's trying to defend this woman's honor, someone who captured him. And so we're seeing Jaime, I don't know, having like a change, and he's, I don't know, he seems to be growing up maybe, or realizing some things about the world now that he's been in a powerless position. He was always so used to being in charge and having everything handed to him, and now he's been a prisoner, so maybe that's it, I don't know. But I don't get it, because Jaime, like, basically maxes out on persuasion. Like, he manages to get Brienne not raped, yet the same guy who listened to Jaime about raping Brienne chops off Jaime's hand. So I'm so confused. I'm really, really confused. I'm like, you're going to listen to Jaime about Brienne and yet you're not going to listen to him about Tywin, and you're going to chop off his hand. This is stupid on so many levels. First of all, everybody who wants Jaime is going to want him intact. Tywin is obviously going to want him intact because that's his son. Rob's going to want him intact because that's Tywin's son, and you don't want to give damaged goods to someone who has your sisters. So I don't know what that guy was thinking and why he listened to Jaime about Bran, yet he went and took on some weird little, oh, you're a little piece of crap because you got everything handed to you. Like, what is that? I'm so confused. But, they take his hand. They cut off Jaime's hand. And then they just end the episode. Like, oh my god, I'm so excited because this is going to change everything. Like, Jaime was his sword hand. Like, he fought, like, excellent, and beside his father, his sword was one of the only things he had. Something that made him him. Like, his father didn't teach him how to be a good swordsman. He just had that, well, obviously he had to learn and train, but that was his talent. That was something that he had himself, and so that separated him from his father, and now it's gone. So, yeah, sad. I didn't end with this because I didn't want to. I much rather end with Daenerys because I love Daenerys, and, Daenerys has Jorah and Barristan now, and I love it because Barristan and Jorah have two completely different sides of thinking, which is excellent. Like, some people are like, oh, one of them has to go. No, not necessarily. Dany having advisors who are willing to share two different sides rather than just saying, oh yeah, do this, agree on everything. She actually has options now. She can think, and, she doesn't just have one person saying, oh, this is the best advice, this is the best advice, this is the best advice. She has two people now debating, and she can make decisions from that and decide which is better. Maybe I should combine the two, or maybe I should listen to one or the other. It's really awesome. I really like it. And, some people are like saying, oh, Jorah's jealous because Barristan's there now. Not necessarily either. I mean, Jorah loves Daenerys' affection. You can tell he really loves her, but he knows Barristan's not interested in her in that way, so he's not worried about that. He's just worried that she might not need him for advice as much as before. So you can kind of see he's kind of angsty about that because he's used to being the one person Daenerys went to for advice. But here's Barristan, who knew Daenerys' brother. He knew her father, and so she's going to want to go to Barristan a lot too because he knows more about her people than Jorah does. So she decides that she's going to buy the Unsullied, all of them, and to pay, she's going to use one of her dragons. And I love how, like, Jorah and Barristan finally, like, agreed on something. They're like, what? Don't use your dragons. Your dragons are your babies, your dragons are going to win you the realm because you're the only one who has them. And she gives them the Death Stare. And after she buys the Unsullied, which, she has to get her dragon first, but after she strikes the bargain, she looks at them like, don't you ever question me again. So Daenerys she knows what she's doing, she's got everything under control, just like she's the mother of dragons. These are her babies, and she didn't even, like, flinch or mourn or think about selling one of them. She knows what she's doing. She wouldn't just do that to her babies, so don't question her. So she's just like, don't you ever do that, ever, again. And then I just love, she buys the female translator. Well, she doesn't buy the female translator. It's part of the bargain. So technically she does buy the female translator. Whatever. And I just love it. She's, like, asking her questions. She's like, once these Unsullied are mine, they're mine, like, for sure. Like, they won't hesitate to do anything I ask them. And the translator's like, nope, they won't hesitate. They'll do whatever you ask as soon as they're yours. And so she's like, okay. And then she's questioning about the slaves around because she's really concerned about them. And, you know, she tells them, you know, all men must die. The translator says all men must die or whatever. And I just love how Daenerys was like, yeah, all men must die, but we are not men. And I was just like, oh, Daenerys, I freaking adore you. So Daenerys is back. She's my woman. I've always loved her. She was my #1 favorite female character ever. And she's back. I love her. And I can't wait to see the next episode. I really, now that I've done this review, I can watch it and I'm excited. So, thank you for your time. Oh yeah, wait, before I go, if you ever want to contact me outside of YouTube, in the description below are the links to my Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, whatever else. It's in there. Look, enjoy. Thank you for your time. Bye.